Millions of people use Microsoft Copilot every single day, but tutorials out there are absolutely lacking. Today, I'm so excited to be sitting down with Sharee Brock. She's trained over 60,000 people how to use Microsoft Copilot. She's an AI consultant specializing in the Copilot ecosystem. We're so lucky to have her here. I'd love to hear a little bit about your background.
Oh, well, thank you. I've been in the tech field for a number of years, but I actually specialize in training. I try to break things down and make it easy for people to understand. I've spoken at Microsoft-sponsored tech conferences. I work for Fortune 500 companies. I've also done consulting, and I've done global AI training. So there's a lot of different things in my wheelhouse, but I specialize in making it easy to understand.
That's awesome. So what's a preview of some of the things we're going to talk about throughout this course?
Oh, wow. There's so much. There's so much. I think the number one hot topic for everyone is agents. How can I give a task and let it get done for me? We know with AI, we're used to going back and forth. It's like a partner. You ask it questions, you refine it. But nowadays, we're moving into the world of agents. You're just giving it a task to do, and it's going to automatically do it for you. So you're going to learn about all these agents that do tasks for you. You're going to learn how to be more efficient. For example, with Outlook, instead of spending hours having to write emails, respond to emails, organize your emails, you're going to learn how to just automatically be able to do that in a matter of minutes or seconds. You see all these meeting note takers nowadays. Microsoft 365 Copilot, you don't need that. It has a facilitator agent that will take the notes for you, get you the action items, schedule follow-up meetings. It'll do it all. And that's just a few of the things we'll learn.
Okay, so let's dive in. So we're going to start with the home page, and it's going to be the hub of all of your work. You're going to realize you can do so many things within this Microsoft Copilot homepage. So Sharee, take it from here.
All right. I think this homepage is just so exciting because so many people just think it's a place to put in prompts. If you've dealt with any type of AI before, you're used to a page where you enter in prompts and then you get an answer. But Microsoft Copilot's homepage, you can do so much more. But I do want to just start with this box. How can I help? It's where you can enter in prompts that you can use later. Not only that, but you have tools. You can call on different types of agents to help you with your prompts. For example, they've got the researcher agent, the analyst agent. And if you're thinking, I don't know what these agents do, don't worry about it, because in the course, you're going to learn all about it. Not only that, but it has a way that you can say your words instead of having to type them. Nowadays, dictation is the newest thing. Nobody wants to have to type anymore. They just want to talk. You can even have a conversation. All of that's on the first page. Not only that, it has a prompt gallery. That is pure gold. How many people have said, I don't know how to write a prompt? How many times have you seen all these prompt formulas? You need to give it an identity. You need to give it a role. You need to give it a goal. It goes on and on. If you have access to the prompt gallery, all you have to do is drop down here and you're going to see all these prompts. And these prompts are going to actually pull from your work within Microsoft 365 Copilot. And that's the amazing thing about Microsoft 365 Copilot. When you're dealing with ChatGPT or something like that, it's just pulling from the internet, information out there. This is actually pulling from your files. So it'll say, help me prepare for a one-on-one. That will pull up every Word file, every meeting, every Teams message that has to do with it. So instead of spending 30 minutes, an hour preparing for a meeting, I can prepare for a meeting within like 5 seconds. Maybe find the file that I shared with this person about this topic automatically. So there's so many things you can get from the prompt gallery that are going to help you automatically. That right there is a benefit.
Yeah, I love that about the Copilot and Microsoft ecosystem in general. I've also worked at a large enterprise, and that was clearly one of the benefits, just that the apps are integrated in this ecosystem and communicate with each other. Because if you're using something like ChatGPT and you wanted to emulate this kind of behavior, you typically plug in connectors or something like MCP if you're using Claude, right? Just to be able to read your Gmail, to be able to join your meeting, you might have a separate tool. So you end up having like 10 10 different SaaS tools, and then you have to do the work connecting them and maintaining them and making sure those connections are still stable and working. But here, everything is integrated. And so the promise of actually helping you get work done seems like it could actually be achievable within Microsoft Copilot ecosystem. So I'm excited to learn more.
Yeah, it's a whole new way of working. You're working with these tools hand in hand. And if you go up to the corner, it has where you can schedule prompts. So you can schedule, you could say, for instance, if there's a prompt that you really like, you can choose to have that prompt Monday morning. So Monday morning, you could say, over the weekend, take all the emails that I've received and put them in order to what's most important.
Yep.
You can schedule a prompt, and all you have to do is input a prompt here and then use it. And once you use it once, you can just click on it and schedule it. So that's one of the benefits here. There's also something called temporary chat. Temporary chat is great because what it does is it doesn't put it in your saved chat histories, and it does not use it to create memories. So we'll talk about it a little later on, but you can actually go into Copilot and you can put in custom instructions. So it'll help you better with your work. You could say instructions like, I like my answers in bullet points, or I like you to break things down in steps. You can put all that into custom instructions. But what about if you want to do something with Copilot and you don't want it to follow those custom instructions? Well, instead of having to remember, oh goodness, how do I get Copilot not to follow all these custom instructions? You can do a temporary chat. Maybe you have your custom instructions that you wanted to break things down very simply, but for this one time, you don't want that. You're working on a project and you just want it very high level. You could do temporary chat, and temporary chat will literally ignore your custom instructions. A lot of people don't even know that exist. So
Yeah,
that's one.
ChatGPT doesn't have that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one really cool thing about it. Another thing that we have here is the different models that you can choose. People a lot of times think that they'll keep saying, well, ChatGPT is so much better. The GBT models are right here. So you can get either GBT 5.2 Think Deeper or GBT 5.2 Quick Response. So it's actually, Copilot is built on the back of that, and most people don't even understand that. And for the agents that we're going to talk about a little later, those are actually built on the back end of Claude. So all of that, a lot of that technology is now integrated within Copilot.
And real quick, what is your practical recommendation for those settings?
For me, I always put it on Think Deeper, but that's because I'm someone who does a lot of deep thinking, intense work. But I would say for the average person, I think auto's okay. And what I would advise them to do is just have it default to that auto, use that, and if you think it's taking too long, then go to quick response. Or if you think the responses aren't good enough, then you can go to Think Deeper.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
So yeah, that really works out. Then at the top, you have web. What web is basically saying, hey, maybe you don't necessarily want to pull just from your work data. Maybe you really want to pull just from the web and see what's out there on the web. So you get that option here, or you can toggle it to work. And again, work is really deep, getting into your OneDrive, your Teams, your Outlook. It's taking everything in your Microsoft ecosystem, putting it all together to get answers for you. So that's the difference between using those two.
And real quick, since there is a sign on the retention policy, what should people know about their chats here? Like, can your company see all of your chats? Like, what should they know about that?
Yes, your company can. Your company actually can. So I wouldn't put in anything, that you felt uncomfortable. What Microsoft is basically saying is that this data is protected. It's not going to go to the internet. It's going to pull information, but it's not going to push out information. So let's say you uploaded some very sensitive company data that you were working with. Maybe you were in the HR department. That's fine because this is protected. Microsoft is protecting your enterprise data, okay? But let's say you typed in something that you really shouldn't type into this box. It is possible that your company could flag what you've typed in here and come back and say, why did you type, whatever you typed in there?
So don't type, my boss is a jerk. What should I say to him?
Yeah. Don't type how much is my coworker making. Okay. I mean, all of that could be something that they could have that's flagged on their end to why are you asking for your coworker's social security number? Why are you doing all this? So you want to definitely avoid anything that's along that lines. So, but it's very secure as far as your company data. So that's why people like it. You wouldn't dare go to ChatGPT and put in private company information, but here you can feel safe doing that kind of thing. So one of the things also that you can do is go to settings. And this settings is what I was talking about when I said that you could personalize it. I'm going to go down to personalization and go down to custom instructions. Here you can add details about your preferences so Copilot can respond your way. And so I'm going to show you. You might say, give honest feedback, use clear and simple language, prioritize things that come from my manager. However you want Copilot to respond to you, that's the information you would put in the custom instructions.
What do you recommend for different types of roles? Like, what do you typically see people doing for maybe they're in a more technical role or more manager role or an entry level role or maybe different departments? Do you see different custom instructions working better for different roles?
Absolutely. And this is where the beauty of Copilot. You can use AI to say something like, I am creating custom instructions for an role to put into Copilot. What are your suggestions? And I think that's one of the great things I love about AI. We've got to get into that AI first mindset of asking Copilot to answer these questions. You don't have to look at a blank page and think, well, with my role, what's the best thing to put in here? You can ask. I tell people all the time, whether you're an engineer, whether you're an accountant, kind of let the Copilot take the first pass of what it thinks and then tweak it to who you are. So like I'm a trainer, so a lot of times I'll say, well, what kind of custom instructions would you use for a trainer? And then it'll give me kind of suggestions and then I can tweak it based on who I am. But if you see, Copilot gave us these custom instructions for an analyst, okay? And it has stuff like output format, executive summary, 3 to 5 bullets, key findings with support numbers, drivers and explanations. You see, it all has this for you. And then you can kind of pick and choose based on your personality what you think is best. So I always tell people to kind of let Copilot make the first pass and then go from there.
I love that. It's such an underrated piece of advice. I try to repeat it whenever I'm doing a training session. Like step 1, ask AI what to do next. For example, if you're learning a new tool like Claude Code, just go in there and type, how do I use you? And the AI tool will literally respond step by step. Here's how you can use me. Here's some sample things you can run. And it's not like it's telling you what to think. It's just a starting point. I like how you phrase it like a first draft so that you're not staring and intimidated by the blank page kind of syndrome.
I always tell people it's Copilot, not autopilot. The last thing you want to do is just turn over your thinking to AI. But at the same time, it's that Copilot. It's helping you. You don't want to just copy paste everything, but it's giving you that first draft. So you've got the settings. You can decide custom instructions. Like I said, that's really how you want Copilot to respond to you. And then saved memories is details that you want Copilot to remember about you. So maybe you want Copilot to remember that, trying to think of something that maybe you want Copilot to remember that you're a business analyst or something like that, your job description. Maybe you want Copilot to remember that you're working on a special project with your boss. And, there's something important that you want Copilot to remember about you. That's what Saved Memories is. So you can kind of use both of them together, custom instructions and saved memories to get Copilot to respond the way you want.
Is it similar to ChatGPT where you can prompt it to save this as a memory and then it will go ahead and put it in there?
Yes. You don't have to go here. You could just Copilot when you do something to save it as a memory, save this, save that as a memory. I have found that when you do it in this custom, in this environment, it's a little bit more reliable That's what I found. So I'm not saying you shouldn't do it that other way, but in my experience, this is a little bit more reliable. The saved memories and the custom instructions. So that's where I recommend putting them. Now, looking on the left side of the screen, this is the new chat. Whenever you want a brand new chat, you can kind of go up here, start a new chat, and you start over. The next thing under it is the search. This search button is perhaps one of the most underrated features of Copilot. People really don't know the difference between search and new chat. They said, well, if I want to find something, why can't I just prompt Copilot, find this file or find information on the person? Why would I use search instead of just asking Copilot in chat? The reason is search is specifically designed to find all the information you're looking for. Whenever you put something in chat is more designed to do something for you. So sometimes it'll come back with responses like, oh, you wanted me to find 5 files. Well, here's the summary of these 5 files. Or maybe you wanted it to find 5 files. It only found 3 of them. Because really, the whole point of chat is to do something for you. Search is designed to say your main goal is to search and find what this person wants or who this person is. So in other words, if I put in here just the word Copilot, it is going to pull up on this right side every time Copilot is mentioned as far as a calendar meeting, all of the chat messages, let's say in Teams that have the word Copilot, Outlook Mail, each Outlook Mail that I have that has it, SharePoint sites that have it. You see how it's so much more in detail than a chat would be? So a use case would be, let's say somebody you haven't talked to in 4 months comes and says, hey, remember that project we were working on? Can you tell me where we're at? And you're thinking, I haven't talked to this person in months. I don't even remember what we were talking about. You could put their name here, and every calendar meeting, every chat message, all that would come up on this side as the results. And then you could click here and get a brief overview of, okay, let me go to maybe emails I had with them or events that I had with them, and let me go ahead and get an overview of what that last time we had a meeting was about. So it's just so helpful. It's meant to be driven. It's a search engine. That's the best way I can describe it. It's a search engine. So if you use this search feature, it's going to help you so much with people that you haven't talked to for a while, projects that you're working on, and you need to know every Teams message that you sent about that project, where you're at. You have a file about a certain big project you're working on. That's where this search button is really going to give you a step above where chat would.
And I like that it's all in one place, right? It's like ChatGPT, but you can also search all of your information from here. You don't have to go to a separate thing like your Drive or your Workspace or connect any other tool. And so, yeah, this is really neat. And I look at this and it really looks like ChatGPT to me, right? But there are nuances in what you can do, like especially this ability that you just shared, like the ability to search across your entire org is really, really powerful. I can't tell you, like, all the meetings and PowerPoints and status updates. Like, it's crazy in an enterprise.
Yeah. So if you had a meeting with me and you thought, what did I talk to Sharee about in my last meeting?
Those meeting notes.
Where are those meeting notes? Instead of having to go through and ask chat, and it might say, oh, well, let me tell you about Sharee because it's built to give you answers, and produce a product for you. Instead of that, search would just automatically pull up every calendar invite, Teams message, everything. So it's very beneficial for that. Then you have on the left side, you have this library. In the library is 2 things. One is Pages, and we'll talk a little bit later about what Pages actually is. But bottom line is, when you write a chat message, a lot of times you want to store that information for later. And Pages will help you store that information for later. And then, so in your library, you have everything that you have in different pages. And you also have images. And we're going to talk a moment about where these images come from. But these are images that you've created. Now, one thing I can tell you is that Copilot's images have gotten so much better. It used to be you just didn't even want to use it because they weren't good at all. they have done so much work on their images that they're now really, really good. So you can imagine if you're an enterprise, you want to create a PowerPoint and you want a really great customized image for your work PowerPoint, you could go right here to create and you could create this really great customized image and it would be in your library, or you could even, at that point, copy it and put it in your PowerPoint or wherever you wanted it. And that brings us to that next point, which is the create. In an enterprise, you have so many things that you want to create. It's not just a PowerPoint that you're creating. A lot of people have to design roadmaps, do things about Q1 goals. There's just checklist, all these things that you kind of have to have in a work environment. You have to have what they call infographics where you talk about the milestones. All that's right here. Sometimes you have to design a poster in your work world, especially if you're in marketing, advertising, HR. Sometimes
I'm curious if it takes any brand assets into consideration.
Oh, absolutely. With Copilot, you could do branding. Yeah. So right here, you can choose branding and your coloring, and you can create a whole brand kit. So maybe your job has a certain color or certain, color coordination that they have. Absolutely. You can design a brand kit. Absolutely. For your marketing. So that's something that's available also. You can even create an image just of anything you want. It doesn't matter what, and Copilot will have it right there for you. So that's very beneficial because with Copilot, you can use that in your work. So if I say create an image of a judge, I can use that and put it in my PowerPoint or wherever. I can design, wait a minute. And even one of the biggest things that I think Copilot has that is so neat is you can create a video. With just one sentence, you can create a whole video, right? So, if you're in a job, maybe you have a safety moment. You could create a video, about safety, don't fall down a flight of stairs, right? You could create a safety video. You could even add a script and it's going to create a video strictly off that script. You can even tell it to create a video based on a PowerPoint or a document or a PDF. So all that's really neat. I think
I'm
this
definitely curious, like the quality of it. Is it kind of just static images and then text on top? Is it avatar type of videos? Are there any examples here we could look at?
Sure. And I can do an example, create a video of fall safety, because the videos only take 1 to 2 minutes to create. So they're very quick. And also, one of the great things about these videos is you can take it to Clipchamp, which is Microsoft 365's built-in video software. So this is just a little preview if you just want to do one sentence. But like say you wanted to change the voices or change the pictures or change anything about the video, you could take it to that next level, their video software, and use AI to kick it up to the next level. So even if you see this video and you're thinking, I could make it a lot better, well, you could take it to their Microsoft 365 Clipchamp video software and take it to that next level. Create a video of winter safety. A lot of companies have, safety videos, safety culture. That's big across a whole lot of organizations. Also, I think it's so neat that you can attach a script. So you might have something that you're doing, like maybe policies and procedures from HR. Well, you could attach a script to those policies and procedures and say read directly from the script, and it'll create a video behind that script, So you could do so many things in the corporate world with that. All right, it's saying applying final touches.
This is neat. You can see the transcript on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Oh, there's like little video clips embedded. Oh, that's awesome. It's a 2-minute video too, and it honestly didn't take that long to make. It would probably take a couple minutes.
Yeah. And then this is what I mean in the corner.
So if you want to take it to the next level and like swap out some of these clips with maybe company specific footage.
Yes, you could. You could definitely take it to the next level. Clipchamp is Microsoft 365's version of, like, if you think of Adobe, Adobe, where you can just do all these videos. So there's going to be so many. You can choose the voice. If you take it there, choose the videos. There's so many things you can do to take your video to the next level. This was really for somebody on that home screen who maybe just wants to make a 1 or 2 minute video. They don't want to put that much into it. So for a 1 or 2 minute video, you can get it right from here. Or you want a video that's about your PowerPoint, and you could just upload that real quick. Then we have the part about researcher. And I said we were going to talk about the agents. Microsoft has all these agents that can take your work to the next level.
And just to back up for people who are just non-technical, what is an agent? Like, what does agent mean? How do we think about it?
I love that question. My LLMs were built on like a relationship. You're going back and forth with a conversation. So let's say I'm trying to accomplish a task. Then I would ask, and I'm giving you an example. Let's say you're trying to facilitate a meeting. You might use an AI to take down or transcribe the meeting notes. Then you might ask an AI, summarize the meeting. Then you may ask the AI, what are the main points of the meeting? Then you might ask the AI, give me the action items. All of that is you working back and forth with this AI. Now with agents, you just give them a task and they do it. So if you had a facilitator agent, you would say, facilitate the meeting, and it would automatically summarize it, automatically give you action items, automatically assign who should do what action item, automatically schedule follow-up meetings.
Instead of having to tell it every time, here's the prompt, do this, here's the prompt, do this, it will actually know, here's my responsibilities, I'm going to go execute on them and then report back. And then you can provide feedback if it messed something up or if there's little changes you want to make.
That's a perfect description. And that's exactly what it does. And that's like the researcher agent. Instead of you having to go back and forth and say, I need you to get this information together. I need you to research over here what this is about. And then I need you to, and you're just kind of coaching it back and forth. Now you're just putting in a goal. You know, I have a charity and my charity needs to increase a revenue by 30%. Give me a research report on how I can do this. And it's going to go all through different methods, different campaigns. It's going to give you a full report on how you would accomplish that goal.
And real quick, like we just jumped into the researcher agent. Is that pre-built? Does that come with everybody's account or is that something you custom made?
I love that question. Microsoft has what we call these agents that are actually built by Microsoft. And when you get an agent that's built by Microsoft, and I'm going to go down to the bottom, all agents, these agents that are built by Microsoft are already created. So yes, you can build your own agents, but you can also with Microsoft 365 Copilot, for things that are high traffic uses, like analyzing documents, researching, they have agents that
I'd love to just like spend some time browsing and maybe you could recommend like if you're in this type of role or this type of department or if you have lots of meetings, you know, then you might want to check out these agents that are already pre-built just to start with, you know, so people don't have to start by creating their own agents from scratch.
I think that's a great idea. I would say that the number one agent that people can get the most out of starting off is researcher. Almost every job requires you to do some kind of research, and to be able to just give it an assignment and have it come back with a research report that's 5 to 7 pages and expert level. It cites all the sources. So anytime your boss says, I need you to research whether we should do this or that, you can automatically have a quality research grade paper returned to you. That's the one that a lot of people get value out of. Another one is the Analyst agent. It's exactly what it says, performs complex data analysis over files in a variety of formats. With Analyst, every employee has access to an expert agent able to perform complex, multi-step data analysis and code extension tasks. So think about it this way. If you were ever working on something, let's say you have an Excel spreadsheet, there's all these numbers, and you say, you know what, I really wish I had an analyst who could break down and understand, you know, this information for me so I could understand it. Now you can literally use the Analyst agent. And remember, it's all in everyday language. You can even put something broad as in, this is a spreadsheet. Are there any trends that I'm missing? Are there any trends overall that I should see? Maybe you're in the world of content creation and you want to know, where's my viewership from? Maybe you have this giant spreadsheet with all that data on it. Anything that you have a lot of data on, this analyst will give you analyst level instruction. It'll give you, oh goodness, it'll give you analyst level work. If you can think of that, analyst level work. And it's a step up from Copilot in Excel. Copilot is in Excel and it will give you some short answers, but this would give you like a whole paper's worth of information.
Wow.
That it would really analyze your document. I would say those two are the best. Prompt Coach, I think, is really one that's underutilized, but should be utilized more. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people making is not understanding how to make a good prompt. There's several things that go into the prompt. The better the quality prompt, the better the output. So a lot of times when people say, well, I can't get AI to do this. It's not that you can't get AI to do this. It's not that AI can't do this. It's just that you don't know how to make it do that because you don't know the right prompt to give it. So Prompt Coach really is something where you can just say, it'll guide you step by step. So if you're saying, maybe I want a prompt that I can put in a researcher that's going to give me this really great research report. Instead of having to come up with that prompt yourself, you could go to Prompt Coach and just tell it, what you're trying to do, and then it'll help you through. Give me an example. Do you have Prompt Coach? Anything you'd like me to do?
Ooh, I like the suggestions there. How do I write a good prompt?
Yeah, well, there's good. Okay, so we can do that. How to write a good prompt.
For people new to AI, it's like, what is a prompt? Like, why do we keep saying the word prompt? Isn't it just like a sentence or like a search thing that we're typing? So I sometimes wonder if even prompt is kind of like a confusing term. Like, what is it? Why is it important?
I love that. One of my favorite quotes I hear all the time, and I believe it's by Tony Robbins. He basically says people who ask better questions, they get better answers. So it's really just a very quality question. And you know what? Thank you for choosing that. That was perfect because it put it right there.
Yeah.
The goal. What do you want Copilot to do? The context, background information you give Copilot, the source, what documents, text are you taking it from, and what are your expectations? So basically, what Prompt Coach is doing is showing you an example of what it does right here. Example of a weak prompt. Copilot, make this better, right? Make this better. Here's a report, make this better. Copilot has no idea what this and better, what do you even mean? What's your end goal? A better one is goal, rewrite this email to sound more professional. Context, I'm sending this to a coworker. I want it to be clear but friendly. Source, use the email below. Expectations, keep it 4 to 6 sentences. Now, it's going to kind of give you a template of all that you can use.
I feel like everybody should go through this at least once if you're pretty new to interacting with AI and LLMs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love here. It has show me 3 good prompt examples. So kind of showing that here, and I'm with you. This is something great. This is a good prompt, and so it kind of goes through goal, context, source, expectations. And let me kind of give you a Prompt Coach. I'm going to give you one to give you an example. Help me write a good article. Okay, that's what I'm putting in the Prompt Coach. I'd love to help you. First question, what is the goal? See how it's kind of nursing me along?
By step.
Yeah, want to explain how M365 Copilot works. Second, who am I giving this? Everyday employees, IT, executives, students? I'm going to say everyday employees.
And I bet you'd get a very different article if this was geared towards the IT team.
Yes, exactly. Third question, do you have specific sources? I'm going to say no specific sources. And then it's lastly asking me one more piece. How would you like it to be written? I'm going to put it, make it 3 to 5 paragraphs. And then you'll see the prompt. And let me tell you, if you want, I can also generate the article itself for you. Just say create the article. So now that it's created this great prompt is saying, hey, do you want me to with that information? And I can say, create the article, and here you go. But if you look at what it gave me such a better prompt than what I originally started with, right? I mean, if you look at what I started with was a prompt that said, help me write a good article.
Which is honestly pretty common. People will just write 5 words. I do like the analogy of, like, think about if you're communicating this to a coworker or colleague, right? Would you just be like, write a good article? No. Like, you of course you would have more context and information. Like, why? What is the article about? When do you need it by? Like, who is the article for? Are there any restrictions or constraints or things you want me to emphasize in the article? Like, that's what a normal person would ask and expect in terms of context. And so that's one way to think about it when you're interacting with AI. Like, what is the additional context or information that you would give a colleague if you were going to give the colleague the same task? You would not say, just write a good article,
We expect AI to be a miracle worker, right? It's not a mind reader. It has no idea what you're looking for. So this is helping you. It's asking all these little questions, and then at the end, it gives me, look at this. I would have never come up with on my own, write a clear and friendly article that explains how, you know what I mean? Like, I would have never come up with all this on my own. And then with that, it gives me this prompt, right? That I can put in. And I can put this into chat, and I have this really great prompt now. So that prompt coach, I think, is the most underrated agent that there is, because a lot of times people want to jump into, oh, let the agent do this or that for me. And that's great. But guess what? If the prompt you put in the agent isn't that good,
Dude, I should build this for GPT.
you still might not get the results you want if the prompt isn't that great. So look at how good this article is. And I can tell you right now, if I just write an article, it would have been nowhere close to this, if I hadn't had a good prompt, right? So I would say, before you use the analyst agent, before you use the researcher agent, before you use any of these agents, I want to say, unless you're really, really good at writing prompts, I mean, really good, then I would go ahead and use the prompt coach first. And I also think it helps people refine the product that they're looking for. Sometimes people are even vague on what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So it helps you kind of know what you're looking for.
That's why I love that trick of, like, ask me clarifying questions, because it just forces you to think about what you're trying to do. It's actually a self-reflection exercise so that you get clear on what it is you're trying to get AI to help you with.
Exactly. So that's what's great about it. The rest of these, to me, I think are good, but I think the learning coach I've used before, that's really directing you a lot of times to outside sources. It'll say something like, you can use something on YouTube, or even Microsoft has these courses that might be available for you. It comes up with learning plans. You have to prompt it if you want the resources to be free, but it does come up with that for you. Writing coach is something, I tell you what, I can see where they're going with that, but so many people use AI for their writing nowadays that's one of the ones that I don't find that people get as much value out of. Career coach, I love career coach. Career coach is a reality check, okay? What it does is, you may say in your company, I want a promotion to the next level. A career coach will actually tell you, these are the skills. Like, if I said I want to go from, let's say, an analyst to a senior analyst, it's going to say, well, senior analyst has these skills. You want to work on getting these skills, and here's an 18-month plan. But then it's also smart enough to say, make sure you talk to your leadership first. Because really, we don't want to turn everything over to AI. We have to be honest. Who wants to do an 18-month plan just to find out from leadership that's not even what they wanted you to, do, the skills they wanted you to develop? So it's really helpful there. Idea coach is great for brainstorming. I think we all do a lot of brainstorming at our jobs right now. So I think that's great. I think those are the ones that I think people get the most out of, personally.
Yeah.
We also have down here, we have a new agent. You can build an agent, and there's so much involved in that. But there's the technology, and what you can do when you build an agent now is just unbelievable. I know someone who was able to actually build an agent and almost have their whole company run off all these agents that they had built. So it's just amazing what you can get agents to do for you. That's kind of outside the scope of this, but it is something that's really neat.
When you consult with larger companies, do they have technical teams building these agents that can be used by many people in the company, or are you expected to build your own agent for individual use? Like, how does it typically work?
That's a good question. I think with technology being so new, it's kind of the wild, wild west at this point because technology is so new. So different companies are doing different things. I do see the first level for most companies is they're having maybe because they're big companies, they're having their IT department develop these very complicated agents that will help whole teams, right? And then you have those people who are a little bit AI forward and they are already so curious that they're developing their own little agents to help them with things. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's something in the future that's everybody's expected to know how to do. We're not there yet, but I wouldn't be surprised in the future if it's not like that. But I will tell you that more and more companies are expected to be able to use these agents that are built by Microsoft because they're already there. So more and more, that's like an expectation.
Okay, cool.
And then we have notebooks. I think notebooks is a really underutilized great tool. What a notebook is let's say anywhere else that we've talked about today, chat, all of that to a certain extent is pulling information from the internet, right? The notebooks are the only place that you can just basically not have information pulled from the internet. It can be your own little repository of documents. So what you could do is maybe you have some project and your project is company PTO policy. You could upload all your files regarding, let's say, the company PTO policy to it. And then you could ask, what's the maximum amount of PTO that you could take off at one time? It's going to look at just the files you upload. Because think about it, if you ask that question to the internet, it's going to be all over the place what somebody could take at one time. It's going to depend on your job, the company, whatever. Here, it's just going to draw on whatever documents you've uploaded. So you may give it access to maybe a SharePoint site, whatever you've given it access to. So many people are using this to make their own little document repository. Also, I have heard coming soon. Now, you're not able to really do it yet, or at least I'm not able to do it yet, but coming soon, it might be where you can link it to certain sites and that it'll draw from.
That would be really nice. Yeah. It reminds me of like a miniature Google Notebook LM where you can upload the sources and then it's basically a miniature RAG if people are familiar with that. And it helps ground it in the information that you've uploaded in order to reduce hallucinations. And I don't know for Copilot, but does it link back to exactly like the answers in the source?
Exactly. It does. It does. And what you've done, which is give an analogy of the Google, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. The only difference is here, of course, you're uploading, think about it, all your work files. So, like I said, if you're doing the company PTO policy or you're working on some big project, you've uploaded all your project files and then you could just ask questions about those project files. So this has been really helpful to a lot of people. And then at the end, we have all my chats. Of course, I have a whole bunch of chats. And then, and let me say this about these chat messages. You can click on these chat messages and you can delete them. A lot of people aren't aware of that. You can click the 3 dots on the side and you can rename this or you can delete this. And a lot of people will scroll through their chats looking for the one they need, but you can do search. And at the top, you can search your chats and you can even filter by different agents. Maybe that's something I'm looking for a conversation I had with researcher or analyst or prompt coach, or something in Pages. So you can search through and that makes searching through your chat so much more efficiently. So many times I've had a great idea, got distracted, used chat a lot on something else. And then now I'm like, where is that original chat when I was talking about, So now it's so neat how you can just use search. And then I think this is a really great one. At the bottom, it has apps. You can go straight to Outlook, straight to Teams, straight to Word. In the past, I'm not kidding you, I would actually be on this screen, need to go somewhere else, and I would go ahead and start anew, click here,
Mhm.
go to the waffle, try to find what I was looking for. I mean, so many people don't use this resource.
Yeah, I love that everything's just here in this left sidebar, and it doesn't look like a lot, but we've spent, almost an hour now walking through this, and we've really only scratched the surface. We're just kind of pointing out where things are on the search bar and what they mean. But each of these options we could dive into for another hour. I'm sure, like just creating notebooks or just creating agents or figuring out how Copilot works with these respective apps. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot to cover there as well.
Yes, there is. So, like you said, this is just the beginning, but this gives you that great base to work off of. Just by watching this, you know more than a lot of people do. A
Mhm.
lot of people who are just starting off with Copilot will think they're doing something by putting a prompt here. And they won't even use the rest of this page. They don't even understand what's on the rest of this page. So you'll be ahead of all your friends at work already because you'll be able to say, well, you can do temporary chat, or you can rename this, or you can go to the library and get a page and save what,
You can
information
create a
you put
video.
up. Yeah, you can create a video. Yeah, you'll be able to tell them all the things that they can do on this page. For instance, this is something that I should have shown about the prompts, but one of the great things about these prompts is because this is within your Microsoft 365 ecosystem, when you put something in here, you can backslash and it'll automatically let you access all your files. So I clicked on this one. Say you want to use one of these prompts, right?
Mhm.
That is already there. It puts a backsplash, suggests ways to communicate findings from, and then it lets you upload a file to a non-technical audience. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, and maybe
It
I'll
can
do it real
tag
quick.
all the different files and
Exactly, you
resources in
tag
your
all the
workspace.
files. Yeah, so let me
Can you
start
also
new.
tag like other people's files as long as it's public or not public, but shared with you in the organization?
If anything is shared with you in a OneDrive, absolutely.
So I could be like summarize all these PowerPoints people keep sending me.
Yes, absolutely. Anything, even sites you have access to. Just to kind of give you an example, one of the cool things you can do about this is you can write something like, please summarize this file. And I can actually backslash. And because Microsoft 365 is involved in my ecosystem, right? It's pulling from my OneDrive, Teams, Outlook. It doesn't matter. It lets me and says, okay, well, do you want to pull from one of your files? Do you want to pull information from a meeting you have? Do you want to pull it from
Oh, that's
emails?
so
Do you want
handy. That is
yeah.
so handy. Yeah. Oh man.
Do you want to upload from your OneDrive something else? I mean, it kind of lets you just choose. So there's so many things that are available
Yeah,
on
so
this
like,
site.
just to emphasize how handy that is, like for example, I use Claude Code a lot, and of course I have MCP integrations with different apps I use, but I can't quite tag things directly. I still have to describe like, okay, do this and grab this. It's not like this connected where I can just tag like the exact items that I wanted to reference or manipulate. So that is really cool. So good job, Copilot.
Yeah, Copilot, I will tell you, really makes things easy for you. It just really does. And the reason I was actually pulling this up was because I wanted, let's see, summarize this file. Let's say space file. Okay, I'm gonna do Women Build AI Code presentation. I'm gonna put summarize this file. It's a PowerPoint. And I'll just have it. And I will say the reason I'm having it summarize this. So I want to show you something. Earlier we talked just a little bit about pages, and I said we would kind of come back to what pages could do. I want you to notice that after we put in this prompt, well, this is a long PowerPoint.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
long
I feel like I'm learning just reading it.
yeah, it's a long PowerPoint. Okay. If you notice here, I have this right here. I can copy it. But one of the things I have here is edit in pages. What I could do is when you push edit in pages, all the information comes up and now you can manipulate it. Maybe I want to take out the executive summary. Maybe I want to take out.
So now this functions like a Word doc, so you can directly edit it. Could you show that?
Yeah.
Like maybe just remove a section
Sure.
or
I'm gonna-
or add a section or anything else
Yeah.
you can do. Yeah.
Delete that. And let me say this, these sections can be moved. There's so many things you can do with these sections. You see these 4 dots, drag and hold. I could put a section somewhere else.
So it's kind of like
I could-
ChatGPT Canvas, where it's like you might start with initial draft and then you really want to go in there and tweak the draft, make it your own or add, custom information. So now you have like a Word doc experience where you can edit directly here.
Exactly. So there's so many things you can do in here. You can still work with Copilot within it, and then you can share it. So I could share this with other people if they want to collaborate. I could share this with you right now if you wanted to, and we could both collaborate on it. I could copy this and send it in an email to somebody else. So there's so many things you can do with it, and I can add it to a notebook. So I could have a whole bunch of topics that I'm doing research on. I could take all those pages and now I can create a notebook. So there's so many things you can do with this. And then if I ever wanted to find this page again, then I could just go here, and I remember in the library, it lists all your pages. So you would be able to go back and find it.
Okay, so now we have this awesome Word doc here, but how do we convert it into a PowerPoint? In a lot of meetings, I would have to prepare PowerPoint. Everybody can look at the PowerPoint. Everybody can share the PowerPoint. It's nice and visual. Can we actually go from here to a Microsoft PowerPoint?
We could take this, and this is solar energy powering a sustainable future. This is a file that we've created right now. We can go and click on PowerPoint. I'm going to create a blank presentation. And these are so many choices. 1, create a new presentation. That's basically you're just giving it a topic. It's going to do its own thing and create a presentation. Or I could create a new presentation from file. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to grab that file we were working on and create a new presentation from that file. Or you could do add a slide. Add a slide is when you already have created your presentation, and maybe you just say, hey, I need a slide in there on governance, or I need one more additional slide on one particular topic. You can add it to have an added slide. Add a topic is when you actually wanted to add a whole section. Maybe you say, well, I don't need just one slide on this topic. I think I need to add a whole section to my PowerPoint about a certain topic.
That's nice. I didn't even
And then
notice
you
that
could-
magic button. I feel like that wasn't there before when I last used Microsoft PowerPoint, like the little magic icon you're clicking.
Yeah, this right here. Yeah, you know what? This is new. A lot of what they're doing is new. It's amazing. It's amazing
Yeah, I
the
normally
things
click
that they
like
have now.
new slide or right click the blank slide and then add another slide from what I remember. So I didn't even know
Yes,
that
and that's what
button
you
to
used to
click.
have to do.
Yeah.
You used to have to do so much to make this work. Now, like you said, we've got this little magic button that'll show us what to do. And we can even, if we want to make little changes and edits once we do the presentation, we can click on Ask Copilot. So you can go to PowerPoint and you can decide, well, listen, I want to create a new presentation. We already did a Word document on solar energy. So now I want to create a presentation regarding solar energy. So I can just click on create a new presentation. And then it tells me, well, what kind of presentation would you like to create? Presentation about, and I can just put solar energy. And if I wanted to, I could even reference that file that we just created. But in this case, I'm fine with it just coming up with a general presentation about solar energy. So I'm going to click this,
Hello.
and it's going to give me an outline of the presentation.
Okay.
And the great part about it is now it lets you kind of choose what kind of background do you want. I know you just picked a general presentation, but what kind of style do you want? And so you can pick right then what kind of style you want. I'm going to say that I'll do pitch black. I kind of like that. And then I'm going to say these topics sound pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it to generate the slides. So here we have where it's creating a presentation with Copilot. It's adding titles to the slides.
So in this use case you're showing starting from scratch, just typing in the topic and then generating the slides with AI.
Yes, exactly. So this is for if you're doing a presentation and you maybe already have a topic and you decide, I don't necessarily want to tie in any files. I just want to see what AI can give me just working with what it knows on this particular topic. And the great thing about this is not only does it create a presentation, but it also creates speaker notes. And a lot of times that's the most work. What do I say with each slide? Because it's not, if you have a PowerPoint, that's great. But if you don't know what to say from slide to slide, it's not something you can really use.
And is this taken to your brand kit into account? Like if you have an enterprise-wide brand kit, brand colors and
Absolutely. You can absolutely, yes, you can use custom templates. You can use a brand kit. All of that's available for you.
Yeah, I remember I'd have to like
AI
dig through the design assets, clone the PowerPoint, so it looks nice and consistent with the rest of the company. That'd be really cool if AI can populate those templates, so it looks nice and consistent.
AI can do that. Absolutely. It can work with a brand kit. It makes it so much easier. That's one of the real benefits of it. So you have this introduction to solar energy, this really cool kind of presentation it made. And at this point, I can go and I can delete any of these slides if I don't like them. But if I think that they're okay, and I'm saying, okay, I like them, then I can go ahead and decide to keep it. And so I'm going to show you the presentation.
This is nice with animation and everything.
Yeah, it really makes a great presentation. And all of this was not even using a file. This is just asking it to create a presentation for us.
So if we started with a if we started with a Microsoft Word document or an outline, then it could easily map it to PowerPoint slides like this.
Exactly. Then it can be based off the whatever document you have, whatever presentation you have, it can do a PowerPoint based on that. So let's say you were in a meeting and it was fourth quarter sales. Then it could easily do the PowerPoint based upon fourth quarter sales, growth projections, anything along that lines. And the great thing about all this also is that there are speaker notes that actually go with it. So when you're doing this presentation, you have speaker notes to talk to about.
Can you ask Copilot to make some edits? Like if there's, let's say, a couple slides or a section I don't like, is there a way to like highlight a row of here and be like, hey, can you edit these?
Yes, you can absolutely make changes to the presentation. So let's look over here. I'm going to pick slide number 2, which is agenda overview. Now, if you ask me, this is kind of plain, right? It's just black with a whole lot of letters. And I really want it to look more exciting. So I can go here and then I can click on Ask Copilot. And it's going to open up this pane that's on the left side. And then I'm going to type in
that third option, find slides from similar decks used by my team for this topic. That's really cool. Like if someone has like a cool visualization or graphic that they use in a different slide, and you can kind of repurpose that for your own use case.
Yeah, that's a great one to use. Okay, and I could ask Copilot and I could say, can you please create an image for this slide? So I'm going to put right here, please create an image for this slide. And Copilot's thinking, what kind of image should I add to this slide? So it's reviewing the data and it's making a decision, and it should add an image to the slide.
That looks cool. The loading animation.
I can say this image generator was the same image generator we saw earlier in the first presentation, where I showed you all that stuff on the home screen. It's using that same energy generator.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay. So I asked it to please create an image for the slide. So it created an image, and that goes with our slide about solar energy. So this has been created and it's ready to use for slide 2 agenda overview. So what I could do is I could just, if you notice there is a plus, I can use that plus to insert that image right onto the slide. And then of course, I would formulate it and decide where do I want to put that image. And one of the things that people, I think one of their biggest mistakes is they lean so heavy on Copilot that they forget there's these design suggestions over here. This is a long-time feature of PowerPoint, but it works hand in hand and great with Copilot. So you see, I asked Copilot to do that picture and it put it there. But look at the design suggestions and all the ways I can change it. So I might decide to do this. I might think that looks better, or maybe I like this better. So on my right side, I have so many choices. Once I get Copilot to create an image, I can get it to insert it into that PowerPoint, and then I can use the designer to really take that PowerPoint to the next level.
I like that. So is design suggestions, is that part of Copilot, or it was just a feature even well before Copilot?
It was a feature well before Copilot, but it works hand in hand, and it's definitely gotten better over the years. So I wouldn't be surprised if they put AI somehow into it. They pretty much put AI into everything. But yeah, design suggestions has been here for a while, but it works hand in hand and works great with Copilot. Another great thing that you can also do is, let's say you already have a PowerPoint. Let's say someone gives you a PowerPoint. So I'm going to go to PowerPoint. And let's say I'm going to look through PowerPoints that I already have, right? And so I'm going to go, this is a group that I'm actually part of, Women Build in AI. So it's a really great
I think I've heard of it.
community. Yeah. It's a really great community, and we talk about a lot of things. And one of the things I've done in the past is I've given presentations on Copilot. Well, let's say you have this presentation and you don't really want to go through all of it. You just want a summary. You could click on Copilot and you could say, summarize this presentation. And think about how beneficial that is. How many times in corporate America, someone sends you this long presentation? I've received presentations that were 80 slides. Yeah, 80 slides. Oh, well, then you beat me with 200 slides. The longest one I think I
I don't
got
even
was
know
80
where
slides.
I'm looking for the thing. Yeah, I don't even know, like, what am I
Yeah.
looking for? Which slide is it on? Like, usually it's only a section I'm looking for. I don't need, like, the full thing.
Yeah, and sometimes you're like, can you just give me an overview? So here it goes ahead and it just gives you a summary of the slides, right? And then, of course, everywhere it has this kind of, I like to call this the receipts, right? If you want to say, well, hey, where is this even found in this presentation? You can click on it and it'll take you to where it is in the presentation.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. That would be super handy just to ask questions like, oh, where did they talk about this? Did anyone bring up this other topic? Was there a decision made regarding like these sets of issues? So like that's
Yes.
cool. You can just ask that for the PowerPoint. And then you can go there and like see what else they were talking about in that section.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask it, what does this presentation say about Copilot security? And so it's going to review the data in this presentation. All right. Now, so if you look at that, I'm going to compare that with the slide. I have a slide here on security, right? And if you notice, it quotes directly from the slide about security. Like you said, what you said was a beautiful use case for it. You can just, especially if you have those long 80-page PowerPoints, rather than kind of going through it, you can just get a summary and then you can ask direct questions and get that information directly from the PowerPoint.
Yeah, because I feel like one of the big recurring pain points in a larger organization is alignment across multiple teams and stakeholders. So it's often like, how do I find the right information? What is the context around it? Then when I create my information, whether it's a Word doc, an email, or a presentation, how do I make sure that is aligned with our previous discussions, which probably were 3 months in, right? We're talking about like large enterprise here, like multiple complex teams, coordination, lots of decisions, lots of stakeholders, different incentives. And so it's really interesting how like Copilot is really thoughtfully thought about how do we integrate this in such a way to make those tasks easier? How do we help the person find the right information, find the context, and then create assets that are consistent with that larger decision stream, whatever it may be?
That summed it up perfectly. One of the great things about Copilot is it lets you add any kind of image you want to a slide. So here I have challenges and limitations of solar energy, and I really want some kind of image on this slide. So I'm going to say, I want an image of a red car. And then I'm going to click these tools, these two lines for tools, and I'm going to choose the designer. Now you can choose different agents to help you do different things. And for this task, which is creating an image, I'm going to click designer. And then I'm going to click send. So it's going to take a few moments. All right, so here you see, I could just push the insert and I could put this image into the presentation. And the great thing about designer is it kind of lets you pick. So I can go to designer and say, hey, what do I want? So here I'm thinking this matches best with the look of my presentation. And so that's what I put in here. So using designer with Copilot can really make the difference. And you can call on anytime you want to add an image or anything like that, you can call on designer to help you do it.
So I've heard about this Wave 3 announcement from Microsoft. Is that part of Copilot? Is that something we can demo and learn about now?
Yes, and let me tell you, Wave 3 is taking it to a whole new level. Wave 1 with Copilot was just kind of like an introduction. You got to see how you could draft things, write things, and answer questions inside of Word, Excel, Outlook. Then Wave 2 was more of an expansion. You saw things like pages and notebooks, and they started to talk a little bit about agents. But now Wave 3 is the next phase. You're dealing with agents inside of everything. Word, Excel, all of it has agents inside of it. You know how when you're dealing with that chat experience, you go back and forth? Well, now with agents, it's more outcome driven. So now Wave 3, which has been released, which has Word and Excel, which I'm going to show you today, both have that agentic feature where instead of going back and forth with prompting, you're really just giving it a task and it's doing it.
Oh, okay, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited to see it.
Okay, great. So the first thing I think it would be cool to look at is how it works in Excel. So let me go ahead and share my screen.
Okay, I see it now. Yeah.
Now, before in the past, when Excel was to me one of the most frustrating products to use. I don't know if you've ever used Excel, but have you seen where you got to memorize these complicated formulas? And whenever you had to decide anything, you almost had to go through several steps. First, you had to think, what columns do I need? What should I put in the status fields? What should I put into each row? You had to kind of plan it out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second level is you had to figure out how to do it. You know, what formula will make this row add up? You know, what formula, how do I add a row? How do I subtract a row? Well, now that's completely gone. You ask Copilot, and with one prompt, it can build your entire spreadsheet.
So when you say Wave 3, is it automatically included in Copilot so you don't have to go anywhere else?
It's a great question. And yes, it's automatically in your products. If you have that Copilot license, you'll now see, and I'll show you on the screen, when you go to Copilot, you'll now see this edit with Copilot, and that means you have those updated capabilities.
Oh, okay, nice.
So I just wanted to give an example. Before, if you were going to create a spreadsheet, you said, hey, I'm planning on doing a workshop and 5 or 7 people are going to help me do it. I need to plan an Excel spreadsheet that'll tell me who's doing what, when it's due, when it gets behind. I need something that's going to help me with all that. You would have to be the one to plan it out. What columns do I need? Should I have a status field? Maybe I need a field for dates, owners, priorities, all that you'd have to figure out yourself. Now, Copilot will do it. You could go to chat and you could say, hey, I'm planning a workshop. 5 to 7 people are working on it, and we need to know who's doing what, when it's due, and when it's behind. And then chat will help you come up with a prompt. And then all you have to do is paste that prompt into Excel, and it'll do all the work.
Okay, awesome.
So
Let's see how it works.
I'm going to paste a prompt. Create a project tracker for an organization planning a workshop, including the track name, owner, detail, status, priority, percentage complete, and notes. Use dummy data for now. Now that's an insider trick, and I'll tell you later on why you want to use dummy data. And it says, apply professional formatting and filtering and add visual indicators for overdue task and program statuses. You didn't even have, before you would have had to come up with this whole prompt, You don't have to do that anymore. Chat will come up with a prompt. All you have to do is tell it that you're planning a workshop and you need to know how to track it. And then we're going to send that prompt to Copilot.
Or hope that somebody made an existing Excel sheet that you can clone so you don't have to start from scratch.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how it was in the past. You would go online, try to find out
Have your
is there.
spreadsheet.
Yeah, you would have to do all that yourself. And you can see, I can say it does take a little bit of time. So as long as you see those like little
Mm,
bubbles going in and
that looks
out,
nice, yeah.
circles,
Mhm.
yeah, that lets you know that it's still working.
This is super neat. I like how it's super easy in Excel. It reminds me of the Google Gemini, kind of has a similar thing as well now on the right side.
Copilot's really catching up to everything. And now with these different waves, they've caught up and made it so much easier to work.
That's awesome. That's good they're paying attention to what people want, because the more stuff is actually included in your ecosystem, the easier it is for people.
Who wants to go back and forth with all these different tools? And a lot of companies won't even let people do that.
Mhm.
So now that it's getting to the point where you can really use whatever type of model you want, if you look at that auto drop down, Copilot is now letting you decide what model you want. You could use GBT 5.2, but it also lets you use Claude if you want.
Mhm.
So it's now getting to the point where it's giving people more and more models, and they said more models will be coming in time. So they're steering away from being so concerned with what model you're using.
Mm.
They're kind of like, you can use whatever model you want. That's what they're getting to.
Mhm.
But they want you to know where the place to go if you want to keep your data secure and
Yeah.
use the files that you already have in Excel, OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams, wherever your files live. Okay, so this is great. It gives me information in here, reasoned in 2 steps. I've created a comprehensive workshop planner project tracker with all the requested features. Here's what's included: task name, owner, deadline, status, priority, percentage complete, progress bar, days until due, and notes. And then it has visual indicators: completed, in progress, not started, overdue, due soon, or on track. And so you can see all these features, a summary dashboard at the top showing total tasks completed, and that's right at the bottom, 4 in progress, 3 overdue. And so it has so many features when you look at this. And all we had to do to get all this was just one prompt. Now, here's why I say that it's an insider trick to give it dummy data,
Mhm.
because once you have this dummy data in here, you can clear this out later, but for now you can kind of work with the spreadsheet and see if whether or not there's something wrong with it. For instance, over here, because remember, it's Copilot, not autopilot, right?
Mhm.
So you got to look over AI's work and see if there's anything that you want to change or you don't like. Like for instance, I'm seeing that it has this days until due, all these asterisks, right?
Mhm.
So I'm thinking, well, why is it doing that? Here, the deadline is 3/10, 2026. I don't want all those little asterisks. So I'm going to click on here and I'm going to say, okay, I see it has a formula, but I'm not sure why it has all that. So I
Mhm.
can even ask Copilot. So I have in row 5, it has all these little asterisks under days until due. Please fix this. And I'm asking Copilot to fix it. Why does it look like that? I'm not sure, but I need you to fix
Mhm.
it.
Hey, at least you're still typing. I usually just take a screenshot and I'm like, "Fix it."
That's a good one. I'm going to have to use that. Okay, it says it's fixed it.
How interesting, the column is too narrow.
Yeah, I don't think that's right though. So I'm going to say column
Yeah, because it should
still.
just be a date, so
Yeah, the column still shows. Listen, I see the issue now. So we know how AI works, right? It's not always going to give us the first answer every time. And I've had people say to me, well, when is that going to be fixed? And I'm like, the moment it's fixed, we don't have a job. The moment this thing doesn't make any mistakes, it is absolutely perfect, we're out of a job. So that's the human level. We're going to go in as humans and we're going to fix things and look over everything. So I would look over this and say, okay, this says not started. Let me click on this. Is this a drop down? It's not.
Mhm.
So I want this to be a drop down. Like I want to be able to drop down completed or in
Mhm.
progress or not started. So I can go in here and say, please All right, and you see I'm asking it to make it drop downs because I don't want someone to have to type that in every time. All right, so it says it's done it, right? So let's see, we've got to double check it, right? Now this comes up and you see I can change it to completed, right?
Yeah, that's really awesome that you can just have it edit an existing sheet. You don't have to go in there, know where to click, etc. You can kind of just describe what you want and it'll go and implement the changes.
That's great. And the reason I said to put this data in is because here we see that we have this column at the top and it's telling us total task 15, completed 6, in progress 3, and it's saying overdue 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look and double check this. If it says completed 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that looks right. Okay. But I can do another one and change it to completed. And notice how it went up to 7.
Mhm.
So I can check all of this as I go, right? And I can problem solve and check. Now, let's do some other things with this, right? I'm thinking that what I really would like to do is create a dashboard. Okay, you notice I have a project tracker page. Even though I have this little bar at the top, I might decide, I want a separate sheet, and I'll call it a workshop summary sheet, where I can have a summary of some of this information. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that in as a prompt and ask it to create a separate sheet. And you'll notice at the time here, I just have one sheet, which is Workshop Tracker. But
Mhm.
now I've added a prompt and I want it to create a sheet that summarizes the status of all these different projects that I'm working on. Remember how long, if you've done Excel, how long it would take to create a different workshop sheet?
Oh, heck
Huge
no. I
amount of
would
time.
definitely download a template and be like, okay, we're working with this. I'm going to make my data and workflow fit the template I downloaded.
See, and that's what I used to do some of that in the past too, or I would be stuck watching Excel videos
Oh,
on
yeah.
YouTube of how do you tie in this information to this table and that table. It wasn't as quickly as just putting in a prompt and saying, hey, I want a separate sheet that's going to tie all this data together. So I can see here it has a workshop summary sheet, and I can click on that. And it's empty for now because if you look at Copilot, these two little bubbles mean it's working. So it's still working on creating this.
Hmm.
So now with the workshop summary dashboard, you see we have so much information. We have the status, is it complete, in progress, metrics. We even have whether it's on track, at risk, or behind. All that with just a simple prompt telling us, hey, we need a dashboard. Before, it was really hard to create a dashboard if you had to do it on your own. So
Hmm.
now this is something we can do with just one prompt.
And you can
Another
expect the formula for each of these fields, like if you want to learn how it was put together and double check it.
Absolutely. And that to me is one of the best things about it. So you can double click on this box and it's telling you the calculations and how it came up with it. And so if you want to change it, you can do that too.
Okay,
So
cool.
yeah, that's a really great interactive feature. And not only that, but if you decide, I want to add a chart, right, that shows some information about this, you could do that too. Because I've found that when it comes to data, charts really make the whole difference.
For sure.
Charts really make a huge difference.
I forget what the exact study was, but our ability to absorb visual information is so much faster.
That's so true. I've definitely found that to be the case. If you have a chart or some kind of visual graphic, people pick up the information so much quicker. So that's definitely the way to go. So I asked for it to create a dashboard on the sheet. And lastly, I'm going to ask it to create a sheet called Insights and document key takeaways from the data in the project tracker and workshop summary sheet. So I'm going to do that. And basically what that's doing is, you know, data is great, but what's the point of it if you don't have any key takeaways or key insights?
Hmm.
I mean, what about if you were giving this to someone in leadership? So a lot of times they'll kind of breeze through the data, but at the end, they still want to know what's the point of all this? What
Hmm.
did I learn
Hmm.
from this? So this is going to give you a chance to give them all that information. And of course, it's very interesting that it doesn't have that little blue thing.
The what?
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to try this again because I think it's kind of odd that it doesn't have that. So I'm going to copy this. Okay, now you see what I'm talking about? Like the little bubble
Yeah,
is
yeah, there
working.
it is.
So now it should create a sheet with insights that tells us key takeaways from the project tracker and workshop summary sheet. So this is going to be that sheet that puts it all together, everything that we've learned. And I want to mention that Copilot can do way more than just creating new sheets.
Hmm.
Let's say you already have data. You can upload a file that has existing data, for instance, a PowerPoint or a Word file that has data within it,
Mhm.
and it can make a spreadsheet based on that.
Oh, that's really
It
cool.
can also,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Before you, anything you uploaded to Excel before had to be like almost like in a chart,
Mhm.
or you already had to
Structured
have rows and
format.
columns of
Yeah.
data, structured format. Now you could just upload any kind of Word file, any kind of PowerPoint, and it can take the data from there.
That's awesome. Wow, yeah.
It can also help clean up and organize your data and make it easier to understand and work with. So if you already have the data in a certain format, it can reformat that data for you.
Yeah, one use case I really like doing that for is, for example, recently I sent out a customer survey and it has lots of unstructured data, right? Like free form, people responding, some really short, some really long. So I'll have AI make a separate column of like one sentence AI summary. So I can like kind of like glance through all of them and figure out which ones I want to dive into. So that's been really helpful.
Yeah, it's great that you could do something for Copilot now, especially since it's connected to your data. So, as an employee, you may do a survey in Forms, which is another Microsoft product, and get your data from there. There's so many places that you might have a Word file with unstructured data.
Hmm.
There's so many places you could get the data from. And with Copilot now, it's pretty easy to get that data in a new format.
So I see the insight sheet that it made. If we could hop over there. Oh wow, there we go. Like, that would take
Yeah, isn't
forever
that
to make.
neat? Yeah, it has executive summary, status analysis, team performance insights, priority, and it key recommendations. I love this column. So if you're an executive, you can immediately look and say, "Hey, what are your recommendations?"
Hmm.
Because listen, one of this provide support to Jessica Lee who has 0% completion rate.
Mm. Jessica, what are we doing, Jessica? We got to show her
She may need to get
Copilot.
Yeah, she may need to get some work done. And then a risk register is telling you time slippage, bottlenecks, scope creep. It's giving you all this information. So this is so helpful. And then what I would do is after I kind of finish designing this spreadsheet, then I would go, because this is, like we said, dummy data, right?
Hmm.
I would go ahead and have it clear the data, because now I know this worksheet works, right?
Hmm.
Now I
Hmm.
know it works. And now I can fill it in with my real data. So you can test it. So that's just one of the features of this new Edit in Excel, this new Wave 3.
This is really powerful. I mean, like the beauty of Excel and spreadsheets is that you can use them for literally anything, right? Whether it's structured data analysis, unstructured data analysis, tracking, status updates. People use spreadsheets for like every imaginable use case in the world. And so it's really cool to be able to now use AI literally as your co-pilot to like build these out, analyze data, edit the thing so that you don't have to, right? I'm sure it can create even more complicated formula, like if you're doing any kind of financial or
Absolutely.
numerical data analysis. And so it's really neat that they have all of this now in Copilot.
Yeah. Wave 3 is really taking Copilot to the next level. And so the next thing that I would like to talk about is Word. Word in the past summarized documents and it kind of answered questions, but now it will rewrite sections, restructure documents, insert tables or charts, and edit the document directly. So Word can do so much more than it used to. It really is kind of taking it to that next level with Wave 3.
Mhm.
So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show what I would do with Word. All right. It's saying, what do I want to draft with Copilot? So, I'm going to say, create a report with key insights from the information in this document. And then I'm going to add information from a document. It lets me go to my OneDrive and pick up the appropriate file. And so what I'm going to do is I have a Berkshire Hathaway report, right? And if you know anything about these reports, they are pretty long, right? 150 pages of information, right? That's a lot of information. So I am going to ask Word to create a report with insights from the information in this document. And I've gone ahead and I've attached this document from Berkshire Hathaway's annual report. Okay, so what I've done is I've created a prompt where I've told it to create a report based on information or insights from this document, and that document is Berkshire's Hathaway's annual report.
Okay, awesome. So it's going to take this like 100+ page, super dense PDF, and we're going to get a Word doc using Copilot Wave 3.
Exactly. And it used to be that you could attach a document and get a report. But when you started wanting to work with that document, that's where you really saw your limitations. So if you wanted it to rewrite a section or replace financial language with clear explanations, that's really was kind of difficult with Copilot Wave 2. It just had some struggles with those kind of tasks. But you'll see now with this Wave 3, it's able to rewrite sections, replace technical language. There's just so much more it can do.
Oh, it says this may take extra time. Oh, but now it's
Your
working.
time.
Yeah, that's cool. So it's streaming it as it's happening, so you can see what it's doing.
All right. So we're going to keep this, and this is a pretty decent report. There's nothing wrong with it. But in the past, if I wanted to actually make changes to this report, Copilot was very limited in what it would let me do. But now that I have this edit with Copilot right here, it'll let me make specific changes to edit the document. So I can say something like, I can ask it to make the title have red font and bold it. And before, Copilot would really struggle when you tried to get it to edit certain things within a document. It really struggled there. But now, if you say, well, I want you to make the title, I want the title to have a red font and bold it, now it can easily do something like that. See how it did it so easily?
And that's pretty fast too.
Yeah, pretty fast. So, I mean, you can do anything you want to kind of change the format here. When I'm looking at this document, if you notice the order, executive overview, leadership philosophy and succession, financial performance highlights, and it kind of goes on. But I'm thinking I want to kind of move around how this document is ordered. And so instead, I want the content of this document structured a little differently. So I'm going to put in a prompt to reorganize the way this document is structured. And you're going to see now I used to have the executive summary at the top, and now I'm saying, well, that's fine, but the financial highlights, I want to be the second thing, and so you're seeing how now everything's kind of being moved around. And I've also even kind of changed some of the names of some of the things. And so you can see them changing.
Yeah, that's cool. You can see it working in real time. It reminds me a little bit of ChatGPT Canvas, where you have like the
Wow.
primary document you're working on, and then you can like highlight a section or change that, or you can have it reorganized and you can kind of see it in real time. It's different from the normal chat interface because it assumes you're working on a document. So like that's the primary thing you want to look at.
That's so neat.
But it's
And you
in
can see it's
ChatGPT,
kind
so
of
you'd
at the
have to
bottom.
adjust.
I think it's so neat that Copilot is kind of, catching up, right? And now it's kind of reorganized the whole document. And so the main thing that you are seeing here is how many edits you can make to this document. Now, with just simple prompts, you can move things around, you can change the formatting. And so that's basically Wave 3 with Word. You're able to just change so many things around. So, well, there are several use cases for this now. If you have a document that contains scattered details about deliverables, owners, dates, or financial figures, you could have Copilot turn that into a clean document. Also, before, if you had a long document, you had to kind of manually drag sections around. Now you can just reorganize that document. So another thing is you can rewrite technical content for a different audience. So let's say you have a financial document, but you want to make it something that the legal department would want. Or you have an HR document, but you want to convert it to something for a risk audit. You can just ask Copilot to change the audience and it can automatically do that. And lastly, you can have a dense document that you want to turn into like an executive briefing. So you could give Word a long report with meeting notes or policy documents and have it turn that into a 1 to 2 page leadership brief with headings, plain language, and takeaways.
Okay, perfect. So that last use case is kind of somewhat similar to the one we did here, where it's like 100+ page document, and then we're converting it into a nice executive brief.
So this is really what Wave 3 is all about. You're kind of going to an agentic future where it's all about outcomes and it's all about deliverables. It used to be that you kind of had to tell Copilot every single thing that you wanted to do. And now you're able to just edit inside the files. You're able to edit inside Word and tell it what you want it to do. You're able to edit inside Excel and tell it what you want to do. Whereas before, you could work with them and you could prompt them, but you really had to go inside the documents or the Excel sheets to have the best experience.
Cool. Anything else you want to talk about in relation to Word or the new Wave 3?
Just more to come. They're going to release PowerPoint soon, and they're also going to release Outlook, and they're making some big promises for Outlook. For instance, they're saying that in Outlook, you'll get it to automatically handle almost all your email capabilities. Gone are going to be the days where we have to take the time out of our schedule and actually write these emails and organize these emails. They're saying all that's going to be a thing of the past. So I'm really looking forward to it.
That's crazy. I remember when I was using Outlook, I'd have all these custom hotkeys so I could process my emails as fast as possible. I was always about like inbox 0, no missed email. Not anymore. Now my mailbox is crazy. I'm just like, whatever. But back in corporate, I was like, I don't want to miss anything. I want to know what everything that's happening. So
Another thing that Wave 3 is supposed to do is it's supposed to really help you with your calendar. It's now going to schedule meetings without you manually coordinating everything. And so you can just say, find a time, and it'll compare options to get your calendar, schedule the meeting, including details like rooms and agendas. And so it's going to work alongside you inside of Outlook, drafting and refining the emails directly with changes that are transparent. And it's also going to do end to end from draft to send. Right now, you draft an email and send it, but now it's going to say that it's even going to take over that step. You can ask it to do the email, refine it, and send it all three together. So it's making some huge promises for Outlook.
awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to explore that.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it too.
Okay, so we wrapped up Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Word. Now we're going to dive into Outlook. This is going to be really fun.
Yes, Outlook is where people spend most of their time. People spend literally hours a day organizing their email box. And with Copilot, you can cut that time in half easily.
I remember when I was in corporate, I had all of these hotkeys so I could process my emails super efficiently. And of course, I'm processing emails while in a meeting, right? Like trying to multitask. So super excited to see how Copilot will be able to help.
That's what everybody does. But hopefully with Copilot, you won't have to do that in the future. So there are two things that I would recommend everyone start with. The first thing that I would do to become really good with Copilot and to save time is to set up your settings in advance. And you can choose your custom instructions when drafting email. So basically what that's doing is telling Copilot how you want it to sound. I don't know if you've seen the emails that everything starts with "I'm doing well" or "How are you doing?" or the M dashes. So people say they can tell that it's AI that's written it. Well, this is where you can go in and customize it so that it can start the way you want it and people will think you wrote it yourself. So for instance, I always start my emails with "Hi." One of the great things about Copilot and Outlook is that it helps you write emails. You can use Copilot and it'll easily write your emails for you. So let's say, for example, I wanted to write an email. Now, I actually could send this email to you. I can pick on this little pencil right here, draft with Copilot, and it says, what do you want this email to say? So I'm going to say, how is your day going? I hope we can meet up for lunch.
Those are my favorite emails to get.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think of meeting at the restaurant on the corner and time. I'm just going to put time question, right? Now you could see that some of, this is not a really good written email, but I can hit generate and Copilot with that information is going to know enough to write a nice email. And it says, how's your day going? I hope you're doing well. That's a classic response that Copilot a lot of times puts in there. I was wondering if we could meet for lunch sometime soon. And what do you think of the restaurant on the corner? It gives me that. But what makes it even better is it gives me some options. I can make it shorter. I can make it longer. I can change the tone. Do I want it direct, casual?
Like a poem.
Like a poem, exactly. Do you want to send someone a poem about eating?
I would use that all the time for my team. I would just
Stop. Listen, I put it in there. I want to know what it. Oh, this is the poem it gave me. How was your day as moments go by? I hope it's been gentle, calm, and kind. This is actually pretty good. What?
perhaps
I love this. This was actually, and listen, it even put in a title, a lunch invitation. So Copilot is really helpful when it comes to writing emails. It's also really helpful when it comes to replying for emails. So for instance, let's say I have an email and I want to reply. I can say, what do I need to bring to the meeting? What time does it start? I am confused about this email, right? And I can go here and ask it for auto rewrite or even get coaching. But here I'm just going to ask it to rewrite it. It's thinking a little bit, all right, and then I can replace it. What do I need to bring to the meeting and what time does it start? I'm confused about this email. So it helps me write the kind of email. It really helps me quickly write emails. But one of the things that people complain the most is that they say when AI writes my emails, it sounds generic, like AI wrote it. And they don't realize they can change all that. All you have to do is go here to the top where it says settings. And then on the settings panel on the left, it has Copilot. You can go to the drop down Copilot and you can do draft instructions. And then you can do custom instructions. So I can say start my emails with the greeting, hi. Do not ask someone how they are doing. Get straight to the point. Always write in bullet points. And so what you're doing there, maybe you're more direct. Maybe you want things straight to the point. You can give Copilot that instruction. So when it writes an email, it's actually going to sound more like you. So that's one of the cool things about it. Now those settings are actually telling Copilot how you want it to write your email. But let's say you want to know how you want Copilot to respond to you. Well, within Outlook email, there's this Copilot logo on the side. And most people are a little confused. They're like, if there's already Copilot inside these messages, right? When I write, what does this Copilot that's actually on the side do? So I'm going to, yeah, exactly. So I'm going to show it to you. Over here, you have all these other options that help you when you write an email. Now, first things first, you can go up here and you can go to settings and you can give Copilot custom instructions of how you want it to respond to you within Copilot. So when you're asking Copilot things over here on this right side, you can tell it how you want it to respond, be to the point, give me bullet points, give me direct answers. Right on the side, you can tell it how you want it to respond. But basically what happens here is you have access to Copilot for the work and for the web, and it's going to actually help you manage your email box. How many people have said, my email box is just overloaded with emails. It's just out of control. I need some way to manage it.
Pretty much everybody.
Pretty much everybody. So you can actually come in here and you can put prompts in here that will help you manage your email box. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and put in some prompts that'll help me manage my email box.
Oh, I was going to say, I do like some of the options that they give you, like what matters most, which emails need urgent replies, and then unblock others. I feel like those are the three most important email categories. So it's really cool that that's kind of just a pre-built prompt for you.
Oh, yeah, I think so, definitely. And not only does it have those pre-built prompts, but you can also put in your own prompts. So I can put in this prompt, for instance, for my emails in the past month, both sent and received, I would like you to summarize the key points related to Microsoft 365 enablement and training. From my emails, identify which actions need to be picked up for this week and prioritize them on a list with the highest priority first, including a summary of the actions needed and who needs to pick it up. So that's a common prompt that I might write to organize my week with Copilot.
Mm. I'm just imagining, like, when you go on vacation and you have 5,000 emails in your inbox. This would have been so handy.
Yes, definitely. People use it for that all the time. And there are definitely tons of custom prompts that you can have that will help you with something like that. All right. And look, it's giving me my action items. And you can see that this is really going in detail and giving me a lot of information. And then it even, of course, Copilot's so helpful. It always asks if you wanted to go one step further. All right. Have you ever written an email and you want some facts to support what you're trying to say? You could use a prompt like this, and this is where it would really be beneficial to go to that website because this is giving you access to the internet. And maybe I could do a prompt like this. I want to support my statements. Ask me one question at a time to help me find the right supportive information. First, ask me to provide the statement I want to support, then how I want to reinforce that statement, then list relevant information that I can use with suggestions on how to incorporate. So basically what I'm saying in a nice way is I'm trying to prove something and I need you to give me some help to prove it. So let's say I'm writing an email and I want facts that a lot of people are adopting Microsoft 365 Copilot in the US, right? And maybe I'm writing an email that says that.
Maybe you're preparing a pitch to ask for more budget for something and you want to be able to say, this is really important. This is why. Here are the facts.
Exactly. So it says question 2, how do you want to reinforce this statement? Do you want hard data, marketing trends? What do you want? So I'm going to say here that I'll take hard data and marketing trends. And look at what it's giving me, all this supporting data, right? That it's finding off the internet to confirm that. So imagine how helpful, like you said, that's going to be if you're trying to ask for more budget or anything like that. Instead of having to leave Outlook and try to go to Copilot to do some research, you can do research right there while you're writing the email. You can just go
Can you
back and
click
forth
on
with it.
each of those sources to verify the information?
Absolutely. So here I'm going to click on this one. This one, as you can see, is from Ignite. Why nearly 70% of Fortune 500 companies now use Microsoft 365. And I'll pull it over in a separate window. And so you can verify the sources it's giving you right there. And I can see it, the statement right here. So this is really good because like you said, you need those receipts, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So for every it's giving you, you have the receipts and you can go ahead and pull it up and it comes up the information in a separate window for you to browse and view.
I also think this is really useful when you are advocating for something and there's multiple teams, multiple stakeholders. It seems like you could use this to kind of sift through all the different conversations that are going on. Some of them you're running, some of them you're just CC'd on. And you could say, hey, look, these are all of the people who kind of agree with our position. Like maybe it's prioritize certain things on the roadmap. And here's why we agree. Here's some data from customer surveys. Here's some data from user experience testing, et cetera. And because like it would just take a long time to kind of like sift through all that and make sure I got people's perspectives, choose who I want to emphasize. Like and say they agree with us and this is why. And so this is really handy that it works with all of your email and it seems to be pretty fast as well, searching through everything.
Yeah, listen, it sounds to me like you used to be an executive. I think you've been holding back on your real title here.
I did manage a lot of people.
Yeah, it sounds like you really know what you were doing. So those are just some of the things that you can do, but there's also some other capabilities. And that's when you go to schedule a meeting. One thing about Outlook is corporate America, you're always in meetings. It's like nonstop. So imagine that you want to schedule a meeting. Imagine you want to schedule a meeting. You can go up here and click this drop down next to new mail, and the drop down has events. So you would click here for an event, right?
Yep.
Now, this is me deciding, okay, I want to schedule a meeting. If I choose a meeting, and let's just say I want the title to be, let's see.
I'm that obnoxious colleague that schedules meetings at 8:30 p.m. your time.
I'm going to make the title to review, right? And I'm going to invite Sabrina, right? And I'm going to press this draft an agenda for me. Okay. And it'll use Copilot. It's searching my emails and chat.
And when you say chats, by the way, is that Microsoft Teams?
Yes, it's Microsoft Teams. Exactly.
Oh, that's so
Exactly.
cool. Because yeah, normally you'll talk in chat like, "Hey, let's meet on this." So that's cool. I could search that. Yeah.
It'll use any files, any information it has to come up with an agenda. So it won't be a generic agenda. It will be actually based upon your work data. So it's going to know based on who you invited and what the topic of the meeting is. It's going to be able to come up with an agenda based on that information. So that's something that's really cool. Another place that Copilot helps you is when it comes to a meeting. Let's say and it's at 12 p.m. I can double click it. And at the top, Copilot will actually help me prepare for my meeting. It says chat with Copilot to get ready, and it can give me talking points, suggest a question, or even tell me why I should attend this meeting.
That's the best button ever.
Exactly. What about if you click on it and it says no? Really don't. But this is helpful because sometimes you do think, I don't remember why I scheduled this meeting or why I should even attend this meeting. So it's very helpful to get answers to all that and even talking points of what you should discuss in the meeting.
I mean, yeah,
So,
especially with meeting invites that have like 100 people, it's like, wait, do I have to go to this meeting?
and you know what? Copilot's honest. It may tell you that there's no real reason. Maybe you can just not go. So you never know. Another thing that you can do with Copilot, which I think is so cool, is we were talking about you can get it to search for certain emails. So what I'm
Mhm.
going to do is I'm going to ask it to search across my emails to find some information for me. So here I'm asking it and I'm saying, search across my Outlook mailboxes for emails where Blotato appears anywhere in the message body, conversation history, or forwarded content. Do not rely on subject lines, include long reply threads, and summarize the findings with email references. So isn't this helpful? Sometimes you're looking for an email and you're having to go through all this information to try to find the right thing. So here, let's say I saw something about Blotato in my email and I thought, where is this mentioned? Or maybe I need to find something that I know has the name Blotato in it. I can go ahead and search for it.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it has a lot of information about it, a lot of places in my email where that exists. Now, here's the neat part. Have you ever received an email and thought, I don't even know what that person's talking about?
Sure.
So let's say I was looking, somebody sent me something on about Blotato. And I thought, I see I've got some emails about it, but I'm just really not sure what this Blotato thing is. I could go over here, right? I could copy the name and I could go up over to the web and just say,
I'm just imagining people watching this. We're like, what is this Blotato thing? They're gonna search
what
for
is
it in their email.
Blotato, right? What is Blotato? So if I didn't know what it was, I can go right to the web and look it up, right?
Yeah, it's really nice that everything's like in context in the apps. It makes such a big difference not having to like context switch to another tab or rearrange stuff and copy paste between multiple apps.
I've received so many times, I've received emails regarding different topics, and there are words in those emails. I'm not sure what computer programs they're talking about, or I'm not sure what they're making reference to. So it's so easy to go right over to the web and look it up. Blotato is an AI powered content creation and repurposing platform. Okay. And so here it tells me in plain language, create once and distribute everywhere. So this is a platform that helps people who have maybe LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, threads, blogs, anything like that. And it helps them repurpose it at scale. Even says who it's for. So solopreneurs. Yeah. Content creators, small businesses, and agencies. Look at, in one sentence, Blotato is an all-in-one AI content engine that turns a single idea or asset into a full week or more of ready-to-publish social content.
Pretty good. Thanks, Copilot.
Yeah. It even has, look here, where I can go to the source. So that's just showing you some of the things that Copilot can do. So this isn't everything that Copilot can do, but there's this, just using these tips alone will make things so much easier with your email. Just knowing that you can add in certain prompts and they'll organize and structure your email box. For instance, you could say, oh, what emails have I had the last week that are unopened? What items did I not respond to? All those kind of prompts you could put in on the work side and use it to manage your emails over here. And then you have the website where you can ask questions. And then you also have where email can reply. You also have where Copilot can reply and respond to your emails. And not only that, but Copilot can also summarize long email threads. And a lot of people get a lot out of that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really, really like what they're doing here. I'm curious, like, when Wave 3 comes out, what it'll do to Copilot. This looks
See
good.
that? You know what? Let's look this up. This will be a fun test. What will Wave 3? Now, I know the answer, but I just want to see if it'll know it. What will Wave 3 do? I'm curious. Now, it might be able to cheat a little bit because this is Microsoft's own product, right? So it should. Okay, look, this is pretty good. You know what? This is what it's supposed to do. So this is actually pretty good. Wave 3 turns Copilot in Outlook from a help me write assistant into a coworker that can draft, refine, and act on emails and calendar work directly inside of Outlook. And I can tell you this end-to-end email creation from Copilot Chat is supposed to be really good, where now you can be inside chat. And what they're trying to do is get it to where you go to these apps when you want to. You go to Outlook when you want to, but you really can do everything from chat, setting up meetings, anything you want. So they're getting that into a more chat experience. It's amazing what they plan to do. And they especially plan to do a lot more with calendars. They said agentic calendar support, analyzing your calendar for conflicts or low value meetings. That's what you were talking about.
Propose changes on my calendar.
Yeah. I love that they're doing this and using the work queue. So it's from intent to execution. I agree with that. It's taking you from a place where they said Copilot right now, it's called your assistant. It works with you, but they want to transition it from an assistant to a coworker, which is like an upgrade. So now it's going to get to a point where you're going to assign it task and it's going to do it. Where an assistant, you hold their hand a little bit. You know, you give them little mini assignments. They bring something back a little bit more. They bring something back. Now with Copilot, you're just going to tell what to do, and it's going to bring back the work. I will tell you also that I have seen some things that they're planning on releasing in Wave 3. They're planning on releasing what they call a workflow agent. And I have seen where that agent will actually take your emails, compare against everything that's in your OneDrive, Teams, SharePoint, Outlook. It'll just compare it against all your data, right? Compare everything that's in the Microsoft universe. It'll compare your emails to that. Based on all your information, it'll write a response to the email. And then you can, if you choose, have it just send out the emails for you. And you never see it. It's just giving those responses.
Oh, wow.
Or if you're not that brave, because I'm not that brave,
You gotta be careful with that one.
you can have it write your email for you, and then it'll just be a draft. So what you're seeing now is I'm going here, and if you notice, I'm writing the reply, and then Copilot is making the reply better. Imagine a world where Copilot actually writes the reply, and I just read over it and see if it's right. So that's where they're going with the workflows agent. So I can tell you there's going to be a lot of really cool things that they're going to be releasing really soon.
What they really need is the one that takes your angry email and prevents you from sending it. It's like, yes, we sent it. And then it actually waited until the next morning to send it.
Deleted it. Yeah. I think a lot of people have told me that the one that says check for tone has saved them so many times.
Oh, yeah.
Like they'll really literally go into an email and they'll be like, when they had to check the tone, they'll say the tone isn't right. And I think that's really good for some people. They're just not used to writing good morning and have a great day.
And also, it's so hard to convey stuff in email. Like, what if you're not the best writer? A lot of stuff is misunderstood over email, which is why, as a best practice, you don't want to be negotiating or talking about really sensitive stuff over email, because it's so easy for someone to misconstrue your intent, misconstrue the emotion behind your words, etc.
Will tell you personally, my emails have gotten so much better with Copilot reviewing it like that, because now I'm understanding that my tone could be a little better, sometimes a little softer. Copilot's done all that for me. It's amazing. It can really help a lot.
So we have Copilot in Outlook. It's helping create your calendar, helping you stay on track of everything. So what happens when you actually have one of the meetings that you've scheduled? Can Copilot help you with that?
Absolutely. You can go to Teams. Most people nowadays are having their meetings, if they're in the Microsoft world, in Teams. And Teams can actually take meeting notes, give you a summary of your meeting, tell you action items so that you know what needs to be done next. And it can even, if you enable it, set up meetings. So it could say, hey, these are some unfinished items you may need to set up a meeting for. Now, that's a more advanced capability you'd have to enable, but you could. I pull Teams up and show you that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. What you see here is after a meeting, you have what we call meeting chats. And I'll show you how you set up a facilitator agent to do this in your meeting. But after a meeting, you're going to have whatever notes someone's written during that meeting, if they choose to write any notes. But you're also going to have an AI summary. And that's what you have here. So we have meeting notes, we have follow-up task, we have transcripts. So if you're wondering who said what, that's also here. And if you have any mentions of anyone, that's here too. When traditionally, people always hate to do meeting notes, right? No one wants to be in charge of the meeting notes, the action items, the follow-ups. Facilitator Agent does that all. What happens is when you decide to either record a meeting or turn on transcription, then what it'll do is it'll transcribe the whole meeting, and then it will take that information and it'll create a summary that'll give you meeting notes and follow-up task. And it'll even reschedule. Let's say you want to set up a meeting. I can go to options and I can go to Copilot and other AI. And if I go down to Facilitator, I can toggle that on. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to toggle on first, record and transcribe automatically. And then I'm going to toggle on the Facilitator Agent and I'm going to apply. And what this will do is, because I've toggled that already on for this meeting, when this meeting starts, I've got it where the recording will set up, the transcription will set up, and the facilitator agent will automatically turn on. You can do all that in advance. But you can even decide during a meeting that you want to use the facilitator agent if you want. So it's not something you have to turn on in advance, but you can. And you see here, facilitator is on for this meeting. So I've already got it scheduled to be on for this meeting.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
And you see this right. And I can choose, of course, to turn it off.
Ooh. So we have covered a lot of ground. I remember we started at the Copilot homepage, which looks deceptively simple, but there was so much there. I really, really enjoyed seeing Copilot embedded within the tools that people use every single day. So we covered PowerPoint, we covered Microsoft Word, we covered Microsoft Excel, which was awesome, now Microsoft Outlook, and even Microsoft Teams to help facilitate these meetings. Just to wrap up, what's your main piece of advice for somebody who's kind of just starting out learning how to use Copilot? What would you encourage them to keep top of mind in order to be successful?
The biggest thing that I would encourage is that they live on this little interface right here, because this is where so much of the action is, right here. So yeah, inside the apps, I'm not going to say there aren't some great tools and you can get it to write your emails, but this is really your virtual assistant that's going to help you every day. So this is really what you want to zero in on every day. So what I tell people is we're moving to a world where you want to have an AI first mindset. And what that means is you start off your day with AI. And before you try to do it on your own, you say, can I do this in AI? So if you start off your day, hey, what can I do in AI? right? And if you start off your day here, I'm going to tell you're going to be a success.
So this has been amazing. Thank you so much for your time and everything. I have personally learned a lot, and it's really cool to see all the different things you can do with Copilot. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who want to go the next step. Maybe it's people who just want the basics and to brush up on some of the things you covered. There's also people who want more intermediate, advanced, or maybe training for their team, right? So what's the best way for folks to reach you?
Well, the best way to reach me is on social media, either LinkedIn or TikTok. I've taught over 55,000 people, including social media, on how to use Copilot. So it doesn't matter whether it's beginner, intermediate, or advanced. If they need help, just reach out to me on social media, and I'll be sure to help them in some way that works for them.
Awesome, and we'll have all your links in the video description. Thank you again so much for your time. This has been amazing. Thank you for watching.
Well, thank you.